creating artists who are not just talented, but they're caregivers, they're humanitarians. They really approach the art from a human point of view, and they want to take care of the community that they're bringing this art to. And I love that. I just love that. It aligned so well with the reason why I had got into acting in the first place.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Hassiem Muhammad, and you are listening to The Actor's Instrument, Tools for the Long Game. To get an MFA or not to get an MFA? That is the question that we will be seeking an answer to today. When you think about some incredible artists who have come out of schools like the Yale School of Drama, the Juilliard School, and NYU, we tend to give credit to those institutions that they came from, and reasonably so. So joining us this week on The Actor's Instrument is an alumnus of one of those programs. Devin Kessler is an actor, dancer, singer, writer, and multi-dimensional artist hailing from Bethesda, Maryland. She's a graduate of the Duke Ellington School of the Arts, the University of North Carolina School of the Arts, and NYU's master's program. Now, Devin is best known for her breakout performance as Afeni Shakur on The Godfather of Harlem and the newly announced prequel to the Friday the 13th series produced by A24, Crystal Lake. Devin, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Devin, you've been on a roll. Holy shit.
Are we cursing?
Has it? Sometimes we do. I feel like it was warranted.
Yeah.
I feel like it was warranted. It's genuinely just so great to see somebody that you know and who you trained with, like, doing the thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. Yeah, you're doing it. How does it feel?
It feels like love. You know that moment when you're playing when you're a little kid and you're like, I want to be this. And you grow up and then you hear like so many people say, well, this is the reason why it might not happen. And it might happen only under these circumstances. I feel like, yes, I'm defying odds, but it just feels like I'm in line with what love is on this earth.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember one time my little sister, she's a chef. She's always wanted to be a chef, and she works at this really bougie resort on Kiwi Island now. Ooh. And one day she was like, Hassiem, isn't it crazy? She's like, you're an actor and I'm a chef. Like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, just what we always said we were going to do.
Exactly. I remember, who was it? It wasn't long ago. Quinta Brunson. She was giving an interview on Amy Poehler's podcast, and a little meme of it popped up, and that's how it came to my attention. But she was just essentially saying, and I'm going to butcher it, and I'm sorry, Quinta.
Quinta, if you're listening to this, oh my God, the show has blown up. No, this is great news if Quinta Brunson's listening.
But she was essentially saying the same thing. It's like, no, this is exactly what I wanted to do, and I'm doing it. And along the lines, Coleman Domingo said something similar, when it's just like, when you want to do something, you got to make sure that the energy that you're around and the words that you're even saying to yourself and to other people about yourself are rooted in the possibility of you achieving what you said you want to do. So it's just magical.
The question that I ask every guest that comes on the show is, what is the defining quality that you bring to the table as a storyteller? What makes Devin Kessler different from everybody else?
I feel like it's evolving. And part of that understanding that life and people evolve, I think, is the defining quality that makes me stand out just in general, is the acceptance of flexibility and fluidity of human nature. I think I have 3, probably. I think it'd be like my curiosity, my presence, and my playfulness. Like, I'm just a very curious person. I'm always exploring. I'm always asking questions. I'm always chasing an idea all the way to the end of the life of the idea. And sometimes it's great and it's brilliant. Sometimes it crashes and burns, but it's the curiosity that leads me to so much freedom. And that also allows me to be present with my scene partners. And it's not just the presence in terms of like, look at me, ooh la la. But it's being available, with your partners. with being with your fellow actors and colleagues in the moment, being with the cameraman, being with the or women. Sorry, I don't want to be biased. But just being with the people that are creating the story with you and being deeply invested so that you know exactly what story you're telling. And then
Yeah.
I'm a playful person.
Yes.
I think you know that.
Yes. I was like, that is true.
I'm a very playful person. And so I try to bring that element of play in every character. I think everybody likes to have fun. It's just how they do that varies. And so when you tap into that, that can be, for lack of another word, that can be fun.
Now, I want to talk about this evolution that you were saying that you've been experiencing. Um, because your career did not begin as a recurring guest star on a major show, right? Um, in fact, Godfather of Harlem, correct me if I'm wrong, that's your first TV credit.
Yeah.
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 So,
Well, yes and no. I never told anyone this, and I'm okay with it.
oh
But
God, did you do something crazy like as a kid? Were you like in some?
no, no, no.
Okay,
I'm very proud of the work that I did right out of undergrad. Um, I was an extra. I was an extra on 3 shows. You will not
really?
see me. You will not see me, but I tried my best to be seen. The one that you have the best chance of seeing my shape is episode 3 of season 1 of New Amsterdam when they're in the um the fundraising gala, and there's this little 5'2" black girl in a green dress, kind of the color of this couch, just walking around blurred out in the camera. But everyone else around me, you see their face, and it's just me blurred out.
Word.
But
Okay, so
Godfather of Harlem was my first
credited
credited.
role.
Yeah.
Copy. Well, actually, I this is great news. I'm glad you did those extra spots because now what I want to know is okay. So how did you go from graduated undergrad at UNCSA, one of the
Mhm.
best undergraduate programs in the world,
Absolutely.
um, to an extra on New Amsterdam, to deciding that you needed to seek out additional education? What went into that decision to pursue an MFA?
I always knew I wanted to get an MFA degree. When I was about like 10 or 11, I went to Shakespeare in the Park at the Delacorte. I saw Romeo and Juliet. We know these actors today as Brian Tyree Henry and Oscar Isaac. I knew them as the guy who's playing Romeo and the guy who's playing Tybalt when I was 10, and they had a talk back. And I just raised my hand and I was like, "Where did you train?" And Brian Tyree Henry said Yale, and Oscar Isaac said Juilliard, and I was like, "Oh, I've got to go there." And it was pretty much simple. My mom, who's always been supportive, she took me up on a trip to Yale, and I found out that Angela Bassett went there, and Akeelah and the Bee was my favorite movie at the time. So it was just like, oh, okay, I've got to follow the footsteps of the people who I admire if I'm going to be an actor that has longevity. Um, so that's what my thought process was when I was younger. So even in undergrad, I was like, I'm going to go to grad school. I am. And it was not about necessarily, filling in something that I might have missed. It was more about just like deepening what I had learned and just really being able to excavate and cement and explore and understand and grow technically, spiritually, personally, artistically.
Well, I mean, clearly you did grow because things seem to pop off like pretty quickly. Now, okay. Well, you said it was about you growing, developing. Just to be clear, and this isn't like I don't expect you to knock on one program or another. I'm genuinely curious, like because there may be people listening to this who are also thinking about pursuing an MFA. Do you feel like there was something missing from your undergraduate training, or was it just a personal thing? It was just like, no, I need a little bit more.
Yeah, it was more of the latter than anything. I
Okay.
can always admit that you and I went to school in a time when the institution was changing and there was like a huge transition happening. And um, that certainly added to wanting to explore and deepen my craft more. But it really was a personal thing. I didn't leave missing anything. I just was like, all right, I have more questions. I have great tools. I just have more questions on how to apply them.
No, I think about that sometimes. Like, I'm like, man, if I went back to school now, I would approach it so differently
Mm,
because of what I now know, having been in the business for a few years,
hmm.
right? Like you said, like I know which questions to ask because before it was all hypothetical.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I, I mean, I know some people who go to like undergrad, they already have like some credits and they're building a resume. And now we have kids going to school who've already been on Broadway and stuff. But for me, it was purely hypothetical. Every situation was like, oh, one day if you do this or if you do that. And now I can be like, okay, well, I've been on TV, I've done
Hmm.
plays, I've done commercials. So now, like you said, like how I can ask those questions on like how do I get to the next level?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember going into, I want to say my second or first or second week of grad school, and we were doing an exercise that was very similar to Man with a Knife.
God, what a
And I remember
crazy.
going, crazy, crazy. But I remember going, oh, okay. So this question that I had when we were studying with Tanya, I know exactly how to phrase it so I can get the right answer.
People are probably like, "What do you mean, man with a knife?" To be clear, there was no man with a knife at our school. It was an exercise that it was what our Stanislavski teacher did this exercise where you're like at home, but there's a man with a knife at your door, and you have to like handle the situation. It was something
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
Word.
Yep. Right.
Um, so, well, how did you land on NYU
Yeah.
specifically?
I love my community. So it first started with, like I said, I went into grad school knowing about Juilliard and Yale. I went to Williamstown in the summer between, in the summer of 2019. I went to Williamstown, and the people that I was there with, a majority of them were from NYU grad acting. And so I would have like these conversations with, and then I had some from Juilliard, I had some from Yale, and I had some from Columbia. So it was like a well-rounded group of non-equity artists. And so we were all talking, and I just remember one of my friends who went to NYU was just talking about the focus that the school has on producing artistic citizens. And it sounded nice, but I was like, well, what is an artistic citizen? And essentially, if I boiled Miss Zelda's idea and philosophy down, it's creating artists who are not just talented, but they're caregivers, they're humanitarians. They really approach the art from a human point of view, and they want to take care of the community that they're bringing this art to. And I love that. I just loved that. It aligned so well with the reason why I had got into acting in the first place, which was in high school after I read Ruined by Lynn Nottage, and I realized that it was more than Disney Channel, you know? So,
Yeah.
and it just, I was like, I want to deepen that. And so NYU stood out because they were committed to developing the person as well as the artist, and not necessarily into building a persona. Not that I think any of the other schools do that, but that can be something that people fall into. How do I build up this persona in order to do the work? Because we feel like we have to fit a type. You just have to be a human. That's it. You just have to be you. And NYU aligned with that. And they chose me, and I'm really grateful. And it became a space where I felt like I could be stretched and held in all the right ways. And I was.
When we think about like technique and craft, what are some tools that you picked up during your time pursuing your MFA that you would like credit with the current success you're having?
I would say my curiosity and my playfulness deepened. I think sometimes I felt like that might be my weakness, but going to NYU, I realized that that was my strength. Having so many questions when you're looking at a text, like, okay, you've got to be or not to be, that's classic text. And you're looking at it and you scan it and you're doing all this work. And then you're like, okay, I have it figured out. I think that's what I left with undergrad thinking. And then going to grad school, it's like, oh, actually, there are more questions to ask. You never have anything figured out. You always have to play. You always have to search. You always have to excavate. Even if it's like the last show in the run, you always should have a question left unanswered. Those were the two biggest tools that I got from grad school that I feel like even now when we're on set, I try to give as many options as possible, consistent. You know, you're dealing with camera, you're dealing with film and television, you've got to make sure that everything is consistent, continuity matters. But there's still enough of a variance that editors have something to play with, because film is an editor's medium, so you want to work with them.
Compared to what I believe programs should be doing now, we had very little in the way of on-camera acting.
Yeah.
How much of a focus was that during your time at NYU?
We didn't get like a significant boom in terms of what we had in undergrad. We still learned from Bob Krakauer, like he came in. Um, the goat, he still walked us through his
The
history of
GOAT.
film speech, and we still had the moment where he asked who had the best Polish accent, and I was like, I don't know if you remember, but in undergrad you asked that question, and for some reason I had the best Polish accent. I was like, I don't know where I picked that
It
up
must be you
from.
because the show want me.
But like we still learned
Polish.
from Bob. We still we had some workshops where people would come in, casting directors, and just walk us through how to do a self tape. I think that was the extent of the acting on camera. We got a lot of great training on developing your eye for a camera on the other side. Like if you wanted to do film, if you wanted to do documentaries, which I think is equally important because you understand what directors and cameramen and cinematographers and editors are looking at. I think that's equally important to know as an artist and as an actor so that you understand exactly how the picture is being captured. But I think that would be the only difference in terms of our training.
I guess what it sounds like is that there's still just such a focus on the classical actor training, and like that's the foundation, and yeah, and then we can apply it to being on camera.
Absolutely. That's it. It's the foundation. It's the core of acting. You can't act. You can't be a storyteller. You can't tell the truth without that theatrical foundation. You just can't.
If somebody was on the fence, if they're like, man, I think I might want to audition for an MFA, but I don't know, like, well, what advice would you give to somebody who's in that situation?
As crazy as it sounds, do not let finances be your deciding factor. As crazy as it sounds, because I know we live in a society where like money seems to be driving everything. Don't let money drive that decision. If you really want to go and you feel like I don't have the money, I promise you, ask and ye shall receive. It happens all the time. Taking out loans sounds scary, but means to an end. You have to look at it that way. If it's an investment in you, it's worth the money. That's one. And then two would be know your why. Like know why you're going to grad school. You gotta ask yourself, like, and be honest. Are you going because you want to deepen your craft? Are you going because you want to learn how to teach other students or other people how to act? Or are you going because you think it'll open industry doors? Be honest with yourself, because in reality, plenty of actors that we know and love have not even gotten BFA training, and they're at the top of their career, and we love them because their ability to tell stories and craft stories is unparalleled. And then plenty of folks leave grad school without reps. So, if it's about the latter, if it's about opening industry doors, it's such a risky bet. So you don't want to, or rather, I'd be cautious about leading with that into entering the MFA space, because it's a thing that's up to chance. But if you're going because you want to grow as an artist, you're going because you want to pour into other artists, you're going because you want to deepen the craft, refine your voice, then build a stronger community. And then, like, yeah, grad school is a powerful experience and would definitely do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like we got the question to our big, or the answer to our big question.
Wow.
Um, Now you were speaking about like getting reps after school. That's obviously a big reason why people go to certain schools, or it's at least a piece of like what they're hoping to get out of a program. How did you land at your current reps? Because I'm sure you had plenty of offers and quarters after your showcase.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, and I'll add to the other statement too. It's like, if you want to go to grad school because you want to open industry doors, like, go for it. Just know it's a risky bet because it might not happen or may happen.
Sure.
I graduated. Showcase was about 5 days after the strike, the writer strike. That
Oh.
so it's a very risky bet. Um, and for the first week, it was silent for all of us because, or for the majority of us, because writer strike.
Yeah, people were on like hiring freezes.
Yep.
Like just agencies weren't taking on new clients. I mean, I had a agent on the show and she was talking about, she was like, yeah, it was everybody pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes, which is not what you want to see happen right as you're leaving school. Um, so I had a couple of conversations prior to showcase. And then after showcase, I had that week of like pretty much silence. And I was like, well, that's set. I did all this and I'm gonna go work at Urban Outfitters, and
Not Urban Outfitters. Oh,
that's gonna be that. Um, I still had my agent from undergrad too, so I was just like, "That's me. That this was a wonderful experience, and I'm glad I grew as an artist. I will wait till this strike is over by getting discounts at Urban Outfitters," is how my mentality was. And then about like maybe a week after that, then I started getting the direct emails because they don't really fill out the sheets anymore. Uh,
oh. Well,
so
also, yeah, those sheets are
you know,
kind of old. Anyways,
we're old,
yeah.
so you get the individual reach out, and I met with the people that wanted to meet with me, and we had wonderful conversations, enlightening ones that were, again, because I had gone to undergrad, I knew what questions to ask, what to expect, what not to expect. So I was able to walk into those meetings with a little bit more understanding of what I wanted to get out of it. Not necessarily what I think they wanted to get out of it, but what I needed to see and hear to be sure that this would be a great uh, business partnership. And my reps knocked it out the park.
I
They
mean,
they knocked it out the park. My
well,
reps.
because how shortly after did you audition for Godfather? I'm trying to remember because I feel like I think I auditioned for one of those tracks as well. I was in Boston at the time, so that was like
You were
spring.
in
That was,
Boston doing Tony Stone, weren't you?
yeah, I was doing Tony
Yeah.
Stone when those auditions rolled through. So that was like spring, early summer of 23. Yeah,
24.
24, 24. Yeah, that
Mhm.
was. Oh my god, that was just last year.
It was just last year. So I graduated in 23,
Hmm.
and then I did a lot of workshops. I did a lot of theater workshops in 23 because writer strike.
Yeah,
Um,
and you had the understudy gig at the Public.
I did.
Jordan's, which the Public is a freaking hard room to get into. That's a big deal too. Like,
I love,
good God.
love, love, love my public family. Shout out to everyone at the public because they are truly some of the hardest working people in New York theater.
Mm.
I
Shout
can
out
say
to
it.
the Public. Shout out
Shout
to
out
the
to the
Public.
public because I love y'all. Um, then yeah, that was all. Jordan's happened winter of 2024, and then I booked Godfather in the middle of Jordan's.
Nice. Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. Now, I mean, a major announcement just came out. Your face was on one of them Deadline articles. Okay, Deadline said they said Crystal Lake has rounded out its cast. I said I know who that is. Could you walk us through the process of like auditioning and booking a series regular role
Yeah,
on A24 production? Okay, I'm assuming it started with a tape.
it did not. It didn't. We got called in. So I
Oh,
went in
bet.
person.
Oh, it was in person. That's
Yes, the
rare.
first
Okay.
right. So the first one was in person, and I just gotta shout out Meredith. I love you so much, Meredith. I owe you, like, monthly bouquets of flowers. But I went in.
Meredith Tucker cast
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, she's again, monthly bouquets of real roses. Um, but we went in person. I was, like, the 2nd to go that day, so it was early in the morning. I had read the script, like, maybe 5 days before, because I think that's when I got it. Um, and I was like, "Oh, this is juicy. This is good. This is really good." Like, she's a person. Um, and so then I walked in listening to Sly and the Stone, may, Sly rest in peace. And then I did it, and I was like, "Okay, I gotta let it go. I gotta let it go." Then a week went by. I heard nothing. I was like, "All right." My boundary is a week. Like, I will hold on to something for a week, and then I just have to let it go. So I walked on. 2 weeks later, I got an email from my agent like, "Hey, can you put yourself on tape for a callback?" I was like, "Yeah, I can put myself on tape." Like, I really love this role. Put myself on tape. My best friend Donathan was like, "It's okay, Devin. Like, it's okay. You don't have to be perfectionist about it." I was like, I don't know. It just feels right. It just feels right." Sent that in. 2 weeks went by. Nothing at all.
So
I
you
was
had to let it go. It was
I
past a
had to
week.
let it go. I had
Hmm.
to let it go. I walked on. I was a little sad, but I was like, it was great to get the call back. And then I
Yeah.
got an email. First, I got a call from my agent, and I was like, "Why are you calling me? I'm scared." Then I got an email because I didn't answer the call, and he was like, "You got to get on Zoom in 2 days for a producer and showrunner audition." I was like, "Yeah, I'll get on for 2 days. I will relearn that material." I did. I got to do that audition in my late agent's office, which was so special. And then about a week went by, and I let it go because I didn't hear nothing. And I was walking around, and I went home, and I got myself a nice vegan donut, and I was sitting on my bed about to watch Bob's Burgers, and I got a call from my agent and my manager. And whenever they're looped on together, I
Ooh.
know something's about to happen. I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm scared. What's happening?" And they were like,
Yeah.
"You do you wanna work?" I was like, "Yes, I wanna work. I would love to work." So, yeah, that was the process. I didn't test or anything. I'm
Oh,
so grateful that they trusted me off of the Zoom call, and Brad Brad Kane and Michael, they're fantastic, and the show is gonna be so good. I cannot wait for y'all to see it. It's gonna be so good.
what a story. That just like kind of gives me chills. Like, I mean, it's just that dream come true. That moment. I'm assuming. Sorry, I'm not speaking for you. If I got that call, that's how I would feel.
It was because I had the moment where I was like, "This is a joke. Y'all, this is it." And then I was like, "No, no." I had asked if God was in this, make it happen, and God was there, made it happen. So it
Yo,
was it.
sometimes you just got to trust the plan. Now, the last thing I want to ask you, because as I said, I was reading your bio. Theater is your background. You have an incredible voice, and that's, I mean, anybody who knows you knows that that's one of your greatest talents, right?
You.
You've been doing concerts around the city at the Green Room and 54 and below. Do you and your team have any, like, have you guys spoken about, or is there any strategy around like getting you back on stage? Like, are you
Mm,
guys pursuing opportunities there? I'm obviously Crystal Lake is going to take some of your time, but I'm just curious.
yeah, I'd love to be on stage. Theater is my first love, and I know it's. Thank you, by the way, for the voice compliment. I always get so scared when I sing, and I
Yeah,
know people are like,
you get
"But
scared.
I feel like you get scared. I'm like, I do. Um, but right now, my team knows that I want to do projects that make my heart soar.
Mhm.
Um, Projects that are fun, yes, but they're grounded in truth. They're grounded in humanity. They're grounded in pushing needles forward or just expanding narratives that we feel like we already have about subjects. So we look for that on stage. And if it's a musical project, it'd be fun. I haven't touched a musical since 2019, so that would be fun. Yeah, concerts have been fun though. Other than that, it's just my team is very supportive of my independent endeavors and my production company and what we're doing. My team is very supportive of that. So it's just good to be in collaboration with a lot of great artists and great managers and agents.
That's what's up. I might have to have you back on to talk about this production company.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and and once you guys start shooting Crystal Lake, or when it comes out, it'd be great to like catch back up and see how the process is going.
absolutely. Let me know. I'm so down for that.
I mean, as long as you still answer my emails at that point, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Once
I answered your email and your DM, and you know I don't do DMs.
Devin, genuinely super proud of you. It's exciting to see this just really exciting work unfolding for you in real time, and like to have seen where you started and to see where you are now. And you're not finished, but to see you in process. And as you said, like this evolution that Devin from 2018 to 2025 has undergone. It's
Yeah.
incredible to see. And yeah, I'm proud of you. And I'm super grateful that you made some time to come onto the show. Thank you.
For you, are you kidding? Thank you for asking.
Alrighty, folks, if you enjoyed this conversation with Devin, then you'll love a recent interview I did with Francis Jew. So be sure to check that out. Thank you all so much for tapping into this episode of The Actor's Instrument. Shout out to our co-producers and distributors over at Next Chapter Podcasts. Before you go, make sure to like this episode, give us a follow or subscribe wherever you're tuning in, and we'll be back next Tuesday. Until next time, y'all. Peace.